Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm going to do your July the 26th spiritual principle day in a meditation. How are you doing out there? I hope you're doing well. If you need to reach me, feel free to do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Looking forward to this meditation with you. I've had to increase the size of it, you guys, so that I have a hope of being able to read it actually. So I hope that doesn't disturb you. If not, just bear with, if it does, just bear with me. Okay. July 26th, open-mindedness leads to understanding. Our fellowship matures and develops as each of us brings our increasing understanding to the table. We grow from one another's experience when we are willing to share and to listen with an open mind. Now, that comes from the Living Clean book, chapter 3, a spiritual, not religious program. When we come into recovery, some of us dust off a faith tradition that we were raised with. Others develop their own framework for spiritual beliefs. Those of us with an anti-religious bias bristled at seeing God sprinkled throughout the steps. What have we gotten ourselves into? We were relieved when we learned that we could pursue any kind of spirituality that suited us. As we learn about the traditions, the importance of making room for everyone becomes clear. We do our best to avoid lingo associated with any particular path when we share in meetings. We try to convey our experiences with spiritual growth in language that's inclusive, understandable, and respectful to those with different beliefs. When we use NA language to express our deepening spirituality, we strengthen the link between our spiritual lives and what we've gained from living the 12 steps. Over time, we make peace with the fact that spirituality is central to the NA program. We each arrive at our own sense of spirituality that works. We listen to addicts share the integral part their spiritual awakenings have played in cementing their foundation of recovery. Our sponsors, friends, and predecessors offered their insights on our spiritual, not religious, program, and we gain a deeper understanding of our own beliefs as we work steps in applied traditions. Intimate conversations help us articulate what we believe and allow us to see how much our paths converge. NA language helps us rise above the barriers that naming names and rituals might create. One member shared, our spiritual growth enables us to listen to others with an open mind. This leads to a greater understanding of ourselves, others, and the world around us. We keep coming back and see how this program works in each other's lives. We have faith, above all, in the process of recovery we found in NA. I will listen with an open mind and an open heart when other members share their experiences with spirituality, coming from a place of understanding and curiosity. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Okay, family, we're talking about open-mindedness leads to understanding. We talk about spiritual principles, the main three that are indispensable: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And if you're anything like me, I had my own faith traditions that I was raised with, religion, right? And within that structure, that organization, that discipline, there were several rules, right? Tons of do's and don'ts. And as typical with most addicts, the lifestyle of being an addict was definitely not acceptable. I mean, I know few religions that incorporate getting high. I mean, I'm sure there's some faiths, right, that sit around smoking certain stuff, right, for the purpose of hallucinating, right? I'm sure there's some, but I don't know exactly what they are. And I know that definitely the ones that I was exposed to, you can have a drink here and there, but something like smoking a cigarette, oh no, you definitely were not going to smoke a cigarette, right? So it was pretty strict. When you think about it, the religion, the faith system that I grew up with was pretty strict. But as typical with us addicts, it wouldn't matter what their rules were. They were bound to be broke because we were addicts. And there's certain behaviors that come with being an addict. And even if, let's say, no one else knows about it, it's not open, right? We haven't come out in the open with our disease of addiction. Eventually, it manifests itself to where it's undeniable to other people, even looking on. Like sometimes they're like, what is something that's not right with so and so? We're not quite sure why they're sitting there nodding, right? What is so important about being sleepy and coming and participating in the religious service? They look at that and say something's not quite right, right? If you make it at all to the service or the function, eventually, even keeping the hour using a secret will tell on itself. So a lot of us come with this. I really don't want to be bothered with religion. I mean, by the fact that I was active, using addict meant that all of the rules pretty much that they had were bound to be broken, and there were consequences for not abiding by those rules, right? Um, but the heaviest consequences were the ones that were internal. See, I want to talk about that. The shame, right? The guilt, the sense of unworthiness, those things that happen on the inside of us as we failed whatever faith tradition we had because of our addiction. I know people that their faith, there's no such thing as divorce, but yet they find themselves being divorced because they chose drugs as their mate, right? Instead of their spouse or their families. And so that state of being involved with a religion that doesn't, condone divorce, but yet you're divorced. And if you hold on to that faith tradition, you're going to be a divorcee for the rest of your life. You won't ever remarry because that faith tradition still has a hold on your mind and it's affecting your sense of worthiness. Uh, and so many people come to Narcotics Anonymous appalled at the term God or seeing it sprinkled through the steps. It's like, oh man. And here I thought I was just going to stop using drugs to get my family back. But now they want to talk about God. Are they serious? I knew it. I knew it. People say it all the time. I knew this was a cult. No, 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 no. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Every person that comes to Narcotics Anonymous can choose a God of their own understanding. Some people use the words G.O.D., the letters G.O.D. to mean group of drug addicts or group of druggies. Some people, because they cannot handle the word God, just say my HP. They know what they mean. They just don't want to use the term themselves. And people, when they share, right, in the spirit of inclusivity, in the spirit of understanding that everyone, based on the third step, has the right to choose their own God, right? And that we probably don't all agree. I mean, in America, it was typically considered a Christian country. I believe it was founded on Christian principles. However, I don't believe today that this country is so Christian at all. But a lot of people coming into Narcotics Anonymous have that Christian background, or they have just the opposite. They're atheists because of the hurts that they've experienced with religion. But those aren't the only faiths in the world. Some people have an eclectic point of view. They love nature, and that sometimes is their higher power. They love people, sometimes people and fellowshipping and being hospitable increases their sense of value, and that's their higher power. Some people have made their jobs their higher power, their income their higher power. Some people are Buddhists, some people are Muslims, some people are Amish, some people are whatever they are. No one cares. I hate to say it like that, but no one really cares who or what your higher power is. Whatever you've chosen, if it's working for you, let it work for you. It doesn't mean that it has to work for me, and I don't need to know. I don't need to know who or what your higher power is. It's typically not even a conversation that I'll have with the person. And when I share, I'm completely okay saying God. I'm completely okay, which I believe is seriously a generic title, right? Higher power. I'm completely okay with saying HP. I prefer not to. It seems more impersonal for me, but it's a term that's also used in our basic text. I try to make sure that when I share that the faith system that is attached to my higher power is not pulled into my share. I was joking and laughing yesterday about doing a 12 step and the individual, how they responded. Like, just all she do is talk about God. You're right. That's absolutely a huge part of my conversation, because I believe in the spirituality of a human being, and I believe that a human being needs to have that relationship with God to be successful. It totally is the truth about me. However, I know how to have other conversations that don't use the term God, that does not directly reflect into a person's spirituality. And I try to find out if a person is there yet, if they're really ready to even talk about their spirituality. And if they're not, it's not a conversation I need to have, because that's your life. I'm going to do a 12 step regardless to where you're at, right? Because it's not necessary for me to seek the approval of others in regards to how I go about carrying the message. It's not necessary for me to do that. But when I analyze it and I look at how I go about the 12th step, I look at it from a point of view Is it planting the seed of recovery? And does it increase my gratitude? Look at the just for today for yesterday. Very powerful. So that's where we're at with this one, is being able to embrace your own process and know that you have the right, I want to say and responsibility, but that is so secular, right? You have the right and responsibility to a God of your own understanding. Absolutely. But so does everyone else. And so when you're carrying the message, let's be mindful that we don't all think alike, nor are we supposed to, but we can remain open-minded, and that can lead to understanding and even increasing our own understanding. My name is MightyStream. I've enjoyed talking to you today, and I hope that you have benefited from this meditation, the spiritual principle a day for July 26th. I keep thinking about my pops. This would be his birthday. So I know that he would definitely be proud of my recovery life. And so I'm grateful. He left us in 2001. And I didn't think that I could get a day past the lost. I did not think that I could. And the morning that we lost him, I went to our meeting place, which was opens like at 8 in the morning. I went to that recovery place and I sat where the meeting would start at 10 o'clock a.m. And I sat there and fell asleep. I sat there and fell asleep, and I sat in that chair knowing that I was in a safe place. I was not going to go get high. I was going to sit in the meeting place where the meeting room was and wait for other people to arrive. And I fell asleep. And when I awoke, I'll share this with you to show you the beautiful part of this program. When I awakened to the voices of other people talking, getting ready to start the meeting, people coming in. No, let her sleep. Her dad just died. Just let her sleep. She's fine. She's fine. Just let her sleep. Oh, MightyStream's dad died? Yeah, he died this morning. Yep. I talked to her sister, and she told me that it was a long night. He finally passed from lung cancer. And I could hear people just trying to honor me and let me be alone. And I was scared to open my eyes because I didn't want them to be able to see how much the agony inside of me was, how deep it was, how close to death, even myself, I was at losing him. I didn't want anyone to see that. I just kept my eyes closed and I listened to people, and I could hear people kind of coming really close to me, and my eyes would flutter, and something said, "Girl, they know you're not asleep now. You're not asleep anymore. Open your eyes." And when I opened my eyes, I had 4 bouquets of flowers. 4 bouquets of flowers and one on my lap. I had cards that had been laid down near me. When I opened my eyes, I was surrounded by the love of the fellowship. And no matter how I wanted to not live another day, no matter how bad I felt like I needed to put something on top of that loss, I literally woke up in the meeting full of people discussing my loss and how much they wanted to be there for me, and surrounded with flowers, bouquets of flowers. And the fellowship gave me my flowers while I was alive. And I was amazed at their love for me. If for no other reason than that particular moment, like this would be his real birthday, July 26th, but he passed June 22nd. If nothing else than that, just wanting to honor the love that the fellowship showed me when my pops passed. When I opened my eyes and I saw all of that and I felt all of that, I knew that I was going to be in a meeting all day. I was going to hang out and play cards all day. I was going to go check on my mom and briefly be in the home where he had passed, but I was going to return back and hang out with the fellowship all day and revel in the love of the fellowship. And I knew that honoring them and the love that they had shown me, allowing them to carry me at a time that I had carried so many other people in similar situations, giving them a shot to do it for me, give back freely to me what I had freely given to so many others. Decades of supporting people, writing poetry, showing up at their services, even though I didn't know their family, and honoring their loss. So many services of going to funerals with people for their parents, not knowing anyone but the other recovering addict and making sure, because they didn't want to go hang out with family in a moment like this and take a chance on using. All of that service, all of that love that I had poured out came flooding back to me that day. And if for no other reason than to honor that display of love, that display of the therapeutic value of one addict helping another, being without parallel. If for no other reason, I knew that I was going to stay clean, period. I knew that I was not going to use no matter what. And I did not pick up. I did not pick up. And that prepared me for yet another loss and another loss. I'm talking about sisters, right? And your sister's children. Nephew shot down in the street. I knew from losing my pops and that love of the fellowship and staying clean, that first 24 hours after his death, that I would never have to use over another person's death. I would never, because I had a living experience that the fellowship could carry me when I could not carry myself, and God would work through other people. Now, that's the long and short of it. And if you've stayed this long, I thank you, right? Because I did not know I was going to share that. So I want to encourage you today, don't use no matter what, and allow an open mind to lead to a deeper understanding for you. I believe in you, and I know that you can do it. Otherwise, you would not be here. You could do the meditation on your own, but you keep coming back and you keep listening. So I have every faith in you that you are dead serious about your recovery. And I congratulate you, because we are survivors. Have a beautiful day on purpose. I absolutely intend to. Talk to you soon.